Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Welcome to Sports Management Podcast, where you will hear interesting sports management professionals share their stories, experiences, and passion for the sports management industry. I am your host, Marcus Philipson. Welcome to episode 198 of Sports Management Podcast. Today's guest is Jesse Burke, the client marketing lead at PSI Sports Management. Jesse is a former NCAA Division II baseball player from Cal State who transitioned into a career in sports management, where he now works with marketing and scouting. We spoke about his role at PSI Sports, scouting evaluating talent, learnings from his baseball career, the NIL college landscape in America, work-life balance, and much more. Jesse Burke, welcome to Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
It's great to have you on the show. Really excited. You are currently the client marketing lead at PSI Sports Management. So can you tell us a little bit about this company and your role?
Yeah, so PSI is a baseball agency based out of Scottsdale. We have offices in LA, Cincinnati, and Nashville, Tennessee. Joined the agency exactly around 2 years ago on the marketing front. So I really head up the pro side for marketing, and now with the NIL, we're really heavily involved there. So I run the day-to-day operations for the marketing, as well as amateur scouting, and helping identify talent as well for the agency.
That's really interesting. So I know you mentioned before we hit record here that you're in a busy period right now. So how does the work look currently?
Yeah, so this is what's called the summer circuit. In the past, the draft used to be in June, which made it a lot easier. You'd have the June draft, and then you'd get through the summer circuit for the players that just finished their sophomore years of college and junior years of high school. But now they moved the draft to July, so there's like a little bit of a crossover period. So I'm out in Cary, North Carolina right now. We have quite a few high school players that are playing in a big USA tournament. So kind of out here to support them, watch, and identify some new talent, and then as well as handling my day-to-day stuff on the marketing side, which is a lot of emails and phone calls, sourcing new deals, taking care of players and their needs off the field. So from the beginning of June all the way to kind of early September, it's a really busy time for everyone in the baseball world. And then the draft's in July as well with the All-Star game. We're pretty blessed. We feel like we'll have a few All-Stars as well. So just a really exciting time for the baseball world and our agency specifically.
I understand that. So the summer is a busy period. You can say that for sure.
Yeah. This is a big time. A lot of these high school guys are kind of putting their name on the map for next year's draft, along with the college players that go and play in their summer leagues. So I'm actually getting on a flight tonight, going to the Cape Cod, which is the most prestigious summer league for college baseball. So we'll go there, come back to LA, pick up my truck, and go down to the next tournament. So yeah, this is a big stretch right here for everyone in the baseball world.
I understand that. So you have a diverse role there doing a lot of things, and you mentioned the marketing thing. I know you work a lot with influencer marketing, but what are some other aspects of the marketing work that you do?
Yeah, I mean, every player's different where they're at in their careers, whether it's as simple as getting discount codes for players that want to work with a specific brand, free product, gifting opportunities. And then, for some players that are kind of in that next phase of their career, there's, multi-year partnerships, single-year partnerships. You're talking to the team sponsors that are in and working with the players in their market. So we'll get really granular and work with, players in their, where in the market that they're in, and just trying to find opportunities for them. Some guys are really eager on that side of things, and some guys really want to keep the main thing and focus on their playing career. So, the way I like to describe it is we kind of meet you where you're at and where you want to be. So we really try to tailor specific approach to each player.
That's interesting. So if someone is more outspoken and extrovert, maybe you can use them more in some marketing content, while someone else maybe doesn't want to be so much on that spectrum.
Yeah, some guys are, they're out there on social media. They're posting regardless whether I'm, kind of explaining to them why they should. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like anything in the influencer world, right? If you're posting, if you're building your following, the brands are going to notice. And, guys that want to get into that, we definitely educate them on best practices and how they can kind of build that side of things. But it's like anything on this side of business, you build the relationships with the players and kind of understand their wants and needs. And then, you give your best input on how they can kind of get there.
I understand that. And, talking about younger players, the NIL deal and this has been a big thing the last couple of years. So can you discuss that landscape a little bit and in baseball specifically and how that impacts your work?
Yeah. Obviously the NCAA has been regulating it a lot more now. But it's crazy that it's here. But it's here in a big way. College baseball is big business now. So players in these big markets, they have opportunities. And so we're out there working for them, whether it's, a local shop, a national brand. I've kind of done it all the last 2 years. We really pride ourselves on the NIL front and, feel like we put together some really good portfolios for guys. But it's awesome. I think it's really great for these college athletes that, can kind of monetize their social media followings and their personalities outside the field. And I think it's helping grow the game, especially with the younger crowds to see, these players, kind of become superstars.
Yeah, for sure. So, but how do you do you help them to find that balance with, being on social media and monetizing that versus, focusing on their work and their other engagements?
Yeah, it's funny, man, because, if you're playing really well and you're doing your things on social media, these deals, they kind of happen pretty naturally. Obviously, we'll get in the trenches and really dig into markets and put a lot of stuff together ourselves. But these brands are really, really, taking interest in baseball, and so these players that are, kind of have a mix of both, right? They're playing really well, they're building their draft stocks, and then they also have the name recognition, the social following. These brands are really taking notice. And I think like any good marketing partnership, a lot of it's timing, a lot of it's the player connecting with the brand. So that's you kind of see it all mixed together, and then you see partnerships come out of it.
So how do you evaluate some of those? Which KPIs like reach, engagement, conversion, which of these is it that you go after and how does that work?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's eyeballs, right? They want to get views. I think of a college player that's going to be in the College World Series, Stephen Milam. I've done a few partnerships with Raising Cane's, which is a huge chain in the U.S. and specifically in Baton Rouge, where he's at. It's a huge deal, and so we've done a local commercial. So he's a big name in that market. People want to see him on TV. He's an electrifying player, huge personality, plays the game really hard. So that's like a really organic, just a great partnership that we've done multiple kind of activations with them. And they're great with the social media deliverables. And, he's done some great content for them. So it's really a mix of all that. But, more specifically, these brands want to get the eyeballs and, their brand affiliation with those players.
Yeah, I understand that. And then you have that also cross-platform synergy on which platform should you be and what should you post on what platform to reach the maximum amount of eyeballs, right?
Yeah, like the brands love usage rights. Obviously, they want to be able to use this content in the way that they're internally feel that it's going to, have the maximum reach. I think a lot of the brands are doing it right by using kind of third-party marketing companies to really basically put all this stuff together and kind of like what you said with the synergy, right? So I think obviously there's some brands that, have their internal teams that do great jobs, but I'm seeing a lot of the brands kind of use these third-party marketing groups that really put everything together from front end to back end. And I think that's going to happen a lot more as a lot of the other brands kind of feel maybe they're missing out on the NIL side of things. So I've noticed that, a lot of these third party companies are really, really good and kind of at the forefront of the NIL space.
So, I mean, it was obviously a lot of talk when NIL first started, and there are pros and cons and stuff like that. How do you see the development of NIL? Where do you think it's going forward? Will it be a bigger part, smaller?
Yeah, I think it's going to just continue to evolve. I don't think it's going to be anything less. I think it's only going to keep picking up. you think about the great moments that you have in college sports with these young athletes. It makes me think of March Madness, college football playoffs, college World Series. I think it's only going to grow, which is great for the players. And then, I just think that it's here to stay for sure. And I only think that brands are going to want to get more involved.
Yeah, marketing aspect is one side of what you do, but then you also have the scouting element. So how much is that of your work, and how are you working with the scouting part of your job?
Yeah, it's a really fun part of the job. When I'm back in Los Angeles where I'm headquartered, I'm doing a lot of the marketing stuff during the day, get in my car, head out to games in the area, watch players what we already work with, and then watching new players all the time. And then with the summer circuit, you kind of have your schedule buttoned down as far as where you got to go. So I'll always kind of follow that schedule, kind of have the events I really like to go to. And but yeah, you're always scouting. You always want to be watching players, always evaluating. And so yeah, but it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort. But it's definitely one of the more rewarding sides of this business.
I understand that. And how much does it help in your role that you have played baseball yourself?
I like to think it helps a lot. You always want to trust your eyes. We have a great team at PSI, so kind of always, we're really tight knit. So you're always kind of relaying your information to other people. But at the end of the day, yeah, you want to trust your eyes. You want to trust what you see. But I come from a huge baseball family. My dad played high level Division I college baseball. My mom's one of the biggest baseball fans in the world. So it kind of always grew up in the game. Kind of always knew after my playing career I wanted to get into the side of things. So it's been nice to kind of get into the scouting side of things.
I understand that. So yeah, how did you get into baseball in the first place? Like as a player. So did you start? You said your father was a baseball player, so it started early, I suppose.
Yeah, I had a bat in my hands right away as a kid. Grew up playing baseball predominantly, but I played basketball. I played football. I love playing football. Played tackle football at a really young age. Played quarterback. My dad always laughed. He thought I'd quit after my first year because I wasn't very good, but I really loved the game. Switched from receiver and cornerback. Switched from defense. I wasn't big on the hitting side of things, so I moved over to quarterback, which helped me a lot in baseball. I learned how to be a leader. Really learned how to just kind of be a vocal person, which I was always kind of quiet baseball wise, kind of just went and did my thing. But having that football side of things, I think really helped kind of take my baseball career to the next level. And then when I got to high school, I kind of realized baseball was going to be my main sport, and then played in what I think is the best high school baseball league in the country, the Mission League in Los Angeles. And then I signed out of there to Cal State Los Angeles to play baseball. So played college baseball, rode that out as far as I could. And then I, kind of knew I wanted to get into the marketing kind of agency side of things.
How did you know that you wanted to do the marketing agency thing?
It's funny. I actually had one of my best friends. He is my best friend. He was a first round pick out of high school, and I just kind of saw him go through the process with the scouts, the agencies, all of that. Really intrigued me, and I knew I wanted to do something. And it sounds cliche. Obviously, not everyone gets to do this in their life, but I knew I wanted to have a job that I was passionate about, that didn't feel like a job, and I feel really blessed that that's how I feel about, where I'm at PSI and in the industry. And, super blessed and grateful to do what I do. And so, I think my passion can kind of play out in this role. So that was really what made me want to, get into this side of things.
Do you think that there are, like you mentioned that sports gave you like some leadership qualities and, being more vocal. Are there any other skills that you have taken from a player that you can implement in your role now?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're always learning, you're always evolving. Communication is a huge one. You got to be able to communicate with your clients, and just time management for sure, right? We only have so many hours in the day. There's a lot to get done. We're blessed to have a really, a good sized roster. So, yeah, I think management, communication, and just hard work really is the name of the game, really. So, really just being out there, making things happen, and making sure your players feel like know that hey, we're working for you. So those are a few that really stick out.
Yeah, so I mean, when working with players, there can be things, I guess, on weekends, on evenings, early mornings, on holidays. So, how are you dealing with that? How are you, trying to find this balance, if there is such things, between your personal and your professional life?
Yeah, I mean, I think the really cool thing is my friends and family. There's everyone's really supportive. They know, they know what goes into this, and with that, you do miss some stuff. Like I won't be home for Father's Day, but I talk to my dad a lot. He always wants to know the players that we're all working with, and they're really invested in my career, which is a blessing. But it's just knowing that, like, this is what you do if it's something you love, and the people in your life that support you will be there for you. And, they're equally as excited that you're, getting this opportunity and, doing what you love. So I think it's like anything in life. You surround yourself with the people that support you and are your biggest fans. And then when I am home and I get some downtime, I make sure that I get to be there with friends and family, decompress a little bit. Obviously you're always going in this industry. It's not a normal 9 to 5. Like that's not what you sign up to do. But you do, as I've gotten more years into this, I've found, my spots where I'm able to kind of decompress and get away a little bit.
Yeah, I understand that. So, yeah, now you have been at the PSI for a while. Before, you were at the AIM agency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are there some, what made you make this move to PSI?
Yeah, it was just it was a pretty seamless transition, honestly. The guy that I had been working for was going to go a different direction. The August Group and AIM as a company were going to go a different direction, and I just got put in touch with our president and our SVP, Paige Odell and Dave Matrenga, and I talked to a few different agencies. I just one of those things sounds kind of cliche, but it all just worked out. I felt it was the right spot for me to be. They had the right opportunity for me, and it all happened really seamlessly. So it worked out for everyone involved at AIM in the long run. And this was just my next step in what in my career, and kind of felt it in my heart that it was time.
Yeah. And were there any learnings from AIM that you could bring on now to PSI?
Always. Yeah. I mean, again, communication, learning to be a great communicator. Like anything in life, we all have our days, but yeah, really like communication. And just I got older too. I just learned a lot more. And with the influx of work in this industry, you're always able to learn. You're always doing stuff. So I think when you're able to take a step back and kind of look at each opportunity and say, hey, this is what I did really well, or like, hey, I could maybe done this a little better. It's just taking that knowledge that internally and the feedback from people and implementing it. So that's really what I feel like has helped me continue to kind of hone in on my skills and my communication and all leadership stuff like that.
Yeah. And you mentioned, like, yeah, you're getting older, but you're still, fairly young. And there are a lot of young people listening. And, it's nice to get some type of tips or advice for someone that is not like very big in age difference or something like that. So what would be your advice for, a younger person who maybe is in the studying or is early in their sports management career, on how to make it in this industry?
Yeah, I mean, my first internship that really got me into the sports marketing world, I had finished college baseball, and I got opportunity to work for free for a sports marketing agent in Beverly Hills, an old teammate of mine. Well, it's funny how small the sports and baseball world is. A old kind of a friend of mine, but we played at rival high schools. He connected me to this guy, and I showed up to his office in a suit, and I said, "I'll do whatever it takes. Like, I'll work for free. I'll drive here every day." Like, and he was really, really good on the partnerships and the marketing side of things. And he wanted to learn more about baseball to be able to bring in more clients. And so I I knew that could be kind of my avenue. And yeah, so I showed up and I just said, I'll do whatever it takes. And so I think, any advice to younger people, if you really, if you get your opportunity to meet someone that you really want to work for, you got to do what it takes. And I think that was a quality he really admired in me. And, I would go home after the job and I would go deliver food or work these side jobs to make it happen. And, it was a grind during that time, but I look back on that. And if I did it any other way, I might not be here today. So super blessed that he gave me that opportunity. And then it was one of those things where I just knew, if you want to get your chance in this industry, sometimes you got to really put that work in at an early age.
Yeah, for sure. And also like internships is a great way to get, your foot into the door as well.
Yeah, I'm really big on internships. I mean, especially when you're in college and you're younger, to get around older people that are established in the industry and to just have the mindset that you don't know everything and you might not know anything, but you're going to learn right away, especially if you're working for the right person that lets you sit in on the meetings and debrief with you at the end of the day. I think that's a huge thing. And I think older people in the industry um, really respect when someone's young and they know that they're kind of coming at it from a growth mindset rather than just like, oh, I want this internship with the title and to put it in my resume. It's like, that's your school, right? Because you can go to sports management, which is great. Like if you want to get in, if you can find a school that has that, that's great. But I think if you're able to find one of those internships with people that really care, that you can learn really quickly and you can really kind of progress. But I'm kind of blessed being in LA. I got to be connected to a lot of different people. But I don't think just because you're not from Los Angeles or New York that you can't go and do that. I just think it takes phone calls and emails and showing that you really care.
Yeah. And I mean, as we said, like you're still fairly early in your career, but still accomplished a lot. So has there been any bumps on the road in your career? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Oh, always bumps. There's still bumps to this day. That's part of this job. It's part of this industry. Um, it's real being accountable. So if some, I'm always just really accountable. I take ownership of everything that I'm a part of, which really helps. I think if you try to dodge or say, hey, that wasn't me or like any of that stuff, I don't think that allows you to grow and to be kind of introspective of what maybe you could have done better. But I think it's also knowing that that's going to happen. You're never going to be, you're never going to bat 1,000 and be perfect all the time because that's just not how life works. But I think it's being able to take a step back and just look at the entire, whatever did happen, like how you can be better, and then going forward, how can you avoid that, right? Because mistakes happen, but if you continue to do stuff, then that becomes a pattern. So mistakes are going to happen, but always learning and then always getting insight from other people. Like, hey, what do you think I could have done better? Right. I think we all want to kind of tell ourselves that, hey, maybe, oh, it wasn't that, I didn't do I didn't do that wrong or, something like that. When in reality, I think it's good to just talk to the people that were also involved and just get some honest feedback. So I always come from that cloth because my dad was coach me for a long time in baseball. He was pretty hard on me, but in a way that he wanted to get the best out of me. And I always respected coaches that coached me hard. And I think that's helped me in my career because I don't really shy away from constructive criticism. I enjoy it and I appreciate it. And I respect people that are able to give me their honest feedback.
Is that something you implement also in your work, like that you're having this open communication and feedback with your clients and the players?
Yeah, that's a huge part of it, right? You need to be honest with people. You need to tell them, obviously there's ways to package that, right? But yeah, in this side of, in this kind of a business, you have to have really honest conversations. And that's where you build relationships with the people that you work with, where when you do tell them that, they appreciate it, they respect it. And it's not out of a place of being mad or pessimistic. It's just like, hey, this is the honest truth. And so I think if you can stand by that, those conversations sometimes take you and the players and families and people like marketing stuff to the next level, right? Because you're really, solidifying and keep building that relationship.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking about relationship, also networking obviously is a big part, and definitely in the sports industry, you mentioned it before. It's it's a small business, even
Yeah.
though sometimes it doesn't feel like that. So how are you working with regards to networking and reaching out, keeping up to date, and nurturing your contacts?
Yeah, it's always evolving. There's always new brands. There's always new marketing agencies. I think the biggest thing is when you do get an opportunity to work with a brand or a company or a marketing agency, that you deliver, that you're easy to work with, you're a good communicator. And then you're also just communicating with the client that like, hey, hey, we have this opportunity here. Let's do a great job. Let's be good to work with. And some of my best deals have been with companies that continue to just want to work with us. And those are the most beautiful relationships in the industry, because they're really organic and they trust you and things get done quickly and they get done, well. But meeting new brands, phone calls, emails, um, it's just outreach. And I think a lot of people like want to find like what's the best template I can send or what's this or that. When in reality, like you just need to be a human being and say, hey, I have this player, I have this opportunity I have in mind. Or do you have any opportunities that would fit for our players, our client base? And if it's the right fit, it'll get done. And if it's not, there might be a time later on. Um, but I think just going from that mindset that's helped a lot. I have a great marketing assistant, Paris, who is great at outreach. She does a lot for us, and we work really well together. So she's been a huge boost on that end, and I feel like it's really solidified our marketing department. And really, we're really proud of what we've done, since I've been here. So yeah, I'd say that. And then pretty funny, I'm on a softball team in LA that's all sports industry guys. So I have friends that are sports marketing agents for golf influencers. I have friends that are at big brands. And during the fall, we come together and we play softball at night and we'll all talk and we share notes. And so it's surrounding yourself with people in your area that do the same thing as you and learning from them. And so stuff like that's been really beneficial.
Yeah, I understand that. Looking ahead, what do you think for PSI Sports now going forward and for yourself?
Yeah, no, it's a really exciting time for PSI. We're working with players such as Aaron Judge, who we think's the best player in baseball. Jacob Wilson with the Athletics is having an incredible rookie year. Kerry Carpenter with the Tigers is having a great year. And then, it's really exciting. We had a first round pick last year, Christian Moore, who went 8th overall. He just got the call to the show yesterday. So he'll make his MLB debut tonight, and those moments are always really special for everyone. So we've had a lot of really great debuts this year, which is always exciting. We're excited for the draft in July for all those guys to hear their name called, and a lot of growth on the marketing side. And then just as far as myself, it's just being consistent. I think I'm in a really good flow right now as far as where I'm at. So I'm never trying to get too ahead of myself, but yeah, always looking to grow and just really excited for where things are going here.
Yeah, I understand that, and it's a fun job that you have, and I think that a lot of people want as well to be able to travel and be so close to the players and the game.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I definitely think about that a lot. Feel very blessed to be where I'm at. And that makes me always want to work that much harder. I really appreciate when people reach out, whether it's LinkedIn or phone calls to want to get to know more about the industry. And it always gives me a reminder that, you know, um, other people want to do this. And so it makes me work that much harder. Honestly, that's how I kind of feel about that.
Yeah, I understand that. So if some of the listeners wants to reach out, is LinkedIn the best place?
Yeah, LinkedIn, emails, that's the funny thing about networking. People always find a way to get to you. Yeah, but LinkedIn's a great spot to reach out. If people wanted to learn more, I definitely would reach out. I try really hard to make time to do that because I did that when I was first trying to get in. And so I always try to make some time in my schedule to get back to those people that want to learn more.
Yeah, I love that. Is there something that I haven't asked you yet that you want to mention?
Oh, no, I mean, I think the last thing I'd leave, especially younger viewers that might get to check this out, is just it takes a lot of sacrifice to be in this industry. It's not Jerry Maguire or, those kind of shows. Obviously, your highs in the industry, feel like that. That's the stuff that, the wins you get, some of the best feelings you'll ever have in your life. But, there are lows, and there are, there's you're not always going to have your best day. But I think if this is the industry you really want to be in, that if you're willing to sacrifice and you know what you're getting into, I think there's a place for everyone. But yeah, I mean, that's what I just leave people with. There's a lot of sacrifice, time wise, relationships wise. But I can sit here and say that it's all been worth it. And that, I'm super blessed and feel grateful for where I'm at so far. But always staying hungry, always wanting to be better. But yeah, there's definitely a place I feel for everyone in this industry that puts the work and effort in.
Yeah, definitely. But it's good to know that, as we said before, also, there is a lot of traveling, there is evenings, late nights, and there is hard work. And but if you're willing to do that and work hard, then it's a great industry for sure.
No, 100%.
Jesse, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time, and hope to stay in touch going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for listening to the Sports Management Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought about this episode. If you want to get in contact with me, send an email to sportsmpodcast@gmail.com or hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @sportsmpodcast.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.